Standing by. The Terry and Ted podcast is sponsored by Jaguar Land Rover Laval. Get out of the big city and experience a construction zone free test drive. There is such a thing.
I'll put my glasses on because I look more sophisticated.
Oh, you're very sophisticated. Yeah. We're not wearing our masks because we're sophisticated.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're doing the reading glasses. Are you doing the reading glasses
Well,
thing?
no, because okay. I have the Coke bottles.
Oh, that's right.
These are prescription, but when I read, I do have to slide them down on the edge of my nose.
Yeah, those are called progressives, right?
I guess. I don't know.
I haven't started with that business yet because, like, I don't know. I put on a pair of progressives to try them once and fell down the stairs.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they take some getting used to.
I used to wear contacts a lot, but I've pretty much given up on that. I'm not as vain as I used to be, I guess. It's just like, whatever. It's just easier to put the glasses on.
Thanks for joining us for the podcast again. Last episode, we talked about how much fun we were having, how much we were enjoying, and how grateful we are to you for joining us and coming to download the podcast. This is a whole new world for us, and every day that goes by, I get deeper into the podcast world. I'm more fascinated by it, and we just can't thank Mike Ward and Pantelis enough for leading us to water where we are now drinking. So
and our producer, Poseidon,
yes,
who is part of the Pantelis and Mike Ward comedy empire.
Yes.
And comes in here on his days off.
Hey.
God love you, Poseidon.
Have you listened to the Beatles yet?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Not yet. I'd say there are two eras of the Beatles. Poseidon, there's the yeah-yeahs.
She loves you, yeah.
There's the early stuff, which I call the yeah-yeah. It's the yeah-yeah era. And then it gets a little more complex and interesting. You may find it
It was after they started doing hard drugs.
Yeah. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's a really good album, and it's quite intricate. And Abbey Road, side 2, you put the needle down and let it go.
Yeah.
Abbey Road, side 2, also a good place to start.
You know what? I listened to that this morning.
Abbey Road, side 2?
The reason being, I was watching Two Drink Minimum, and Mike and Pantelis were taking the piss out of Poseidon for never listening to the Beatles, and I thought, if I was going to introduce him to the Beatles, where would I start? Mm-hmm. And I would start with side 2 of Abbey Road. Yeah. And then you know where I might go from there?
No, sir.
What I think is one of the most underrated albums of all time. And it speaks to the depth of the Beatles catalog. They have a whole shitload of songs on the White Album that are great songs that nobody knows. Yeah. But they're great songs. Savoy Truffle.
Oh,
what a great song that is. Dear Prudence. Yeah. Fantastic song. Yeah. Revolution not number 9. Yeah. No, not that. That's when the hard drugs kicked in.
Yeah.
Revolution, the White Album version, which they slow down.
The blues version.
Yeah. They slow it down from the original version. It's
Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Another great one.
Another great song.
The Bungalow Bill, is it? Hey, Bungalow Bill. I forget the name of the song. The whole album is just fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't suggest that. I have you seen the new Rolling Stone list of the 500 greatest songs?
I've seen it. I haven't looked at it all the way through, but I've seen it.
Can you get that up for us, Poseidon, and tell me what the I'm going to get Poseidon. Like I saw. What's his name? The guy, he was on MTV for years, and he's now on Carson Daly. Right. He's now on NBC's morning show. Yep. And I saw a clip of him online the other day, and he was so pissed because he was saying, like, Stairway to Heaven, all of those, big songs. Like, I guess the millennials have taken over at Rolling Stone magazine. So they've put out a new top 500, and none of the songs.
And number 1 is Wet Ass Pussy?
Well, I'm unfamiliar with that track, but I.
Oh, really? You know that one, eh? Who is that? Who does that?
What's her? That stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There's Megan the Stallion and the other one who does Wet Ass Pussy.
Wow, okay. The one that goes, she does all those.
Wow, that's.
Tara, this is unbelievable. Yeah. This is unbelievable. It's
Cardi
a song.
B.
Cardi B.
Yes.
Wet Ass Pussy or WAP.
Okay.
And I think it played on the radio, and I thought to myself, how the hell do you play that on the radio? Because it's all about whores and my wet ass pussy and just the kind of thing that you want to put on when mom comes over.
Yeah. Have you found that list?
The 500 greatest songs of all time.
Okay.
I even found another list for you guys.
Okay.
The 500 greatest albums of all time.
Okay, so would you, this is Rolling Stone magazine, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Rolling Stone magazine. This is the new list. What's the date on it, Poseidon? Make sure it's the list that.
September 15, 2021.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, so let's hear the top 10 from the new 500.
Oh, the top 10 you want? Okay.
Yeah. Another curveball from DiMonte. Yeah, I don't think we have time for all 500, but
Did you hear their podcast the other day? It was pretty good for a while, and then they just started listing songs. Jesus, Murphy.
okay, do it from.
I'm going to do it from 10.
Yeah.
So it's a surprise to me as I'm scrolling
Okay,
down.
actually, let's do it from 20. Okay.
Oh, 20. Okay.
Is 20 easy to get?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so here's the.
They have them in sections of
Okay.
50.
All right, here you go.
Okay.
All right, here's the top 20.
Robin, Dancing on My Own.
This is 20.
Number 20, yes.
Okay.
And then John Lennon, Imagine.
Okay,
at
19.
And then Purple Rain.
Okay.
At 18.
Pretty good.
Prince.
Good
Yeah.
choice. Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
Another
Yeah.
great choice.
Yeah. Classic rock track.
Beyonce featuring Jay-Z, Crazy in Love.
I've heard of them at least.
Okay.
The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
What number is that?
At 15.
Okay.
At number 14, we got the Kinks, Waterloo Sunset.
Okay.
At number 13, we got the Rolling Stones, Give Me Shelter.
Okay.
At number 12, we got Stevie Wonder, Superstition.
Okay. Yeah, good song.
11, the Beach Boys, God Only Knows.
Yeah, I like that. Love that.
At number 10, we got Outkast, Hey Yeah.
Top 10.
Outcast with a K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 9, we got Fleetwood Mac, Dreams.
Okay.
At number 8, Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's way better than Stairway to Heaven. Yep. Okay.
Number 7, the Beatles, Strawberry Fields Forever.
Okay.
Andy.
Yep.
Marvin Gaye, What's Going On at number 6.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Number 5, Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Of course.
Bob Dylan at number 4, Like a Rolling Stone. At number 3, we got Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come. Oh, this is a
Okay.
good. I like this song.
Yeah.
Number 2, we got Public Enemy, Fight the Power.
Way better than Let It Be.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And the number one song from the new top 500?
Aretha Franklin, Respect.
Okay. Well, that's decent. It's
Yeah.
a lot less worse than I thought.
A lot less worse.
It's yeah.
I think that's from the Department of Redundancy. Depart.
I'm gonna be honest. It was a little stressful going through the just the top 20.
Yeah.
Because I was worried I was gonna see like a Nicki Minaj or like a Cardi B
Me
song.
too. Me
and,
too.
And if I had seen one, I think I'm pretty sure I would have flipped the table.
Well, is Missy Elliott not in the same genre as Nicki Minaj and Cardi
she's
B?
in the same
or
genre.
not?
I don't know what she's doing. Get Your Freak On. I don't know. It's not.
Carson Daly was.
They have an explanation as to why they selected it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, we was on some futuristic stuff for sure. Missy Elliott told Rolling Stone in 2020 on our musical chemistry with Timbaland. There was something hypnotic about those records. Missy and Tim Cook. And Tim took over the radio in late 90s. Just two kids out of Portsmouth, Virginia, blowing minds with their own unique space funk sound.
Okay, I'm gonna say something on the podcast I never said on the radio.
Okay.
Okay, Nirvana, only popular to this day because of the legend that was caused by the suicide of Kurt Cobain.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's just my opinion, and we don't have a text line where you can.
There you go.
You
Yeah.
can rage your anger at.
Yeah.
You can
Tweet.
Yeah, you'll tweet in social media that for sure.
You can also message me on Instagram, and I'll tell you to go fuck yourself.
I liked Nirvana's Unplugged album.
Yeah.
That came out in the mid '90s. MTV Unplugged Nirvana, and my daughter Lauren, who is now 31 years old. At the time, she was 5 or 6, and we used to drive around and sing along to that.
Yeah.
So that has a special place for me that
Absolutely.
way. And I liked that. I didn't hate Nirvana.
No, I don't hate Nirvana. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I
But
know. I understand.
They've become this.
But you don't think that's a top 10 of all time song?
I don't. And maybe I wasn't of the generation at the time. And I also think it has to do with when I worked for Shom, we played that goddamn record every 22 seconds.
But do you remember in the beginning, Shom wouldn't play it? And
Yeah,
there was a
I
big,
do.
What was that story?
Well,
there was a huge
yeah,
stink.
It was a big deal because the management at the time didn't like the record, didn't think it fit with the Shom sound at the time. And they actually, there was, when I say a protest, it's not by today's standards. I think there were 3 people that stood in front of the station and protested the fact that we wouldn't play the record.
Well, I think that was also record company orchestrated, was it not? Was one of them not the record rep? The record company rep?
Yeah, possibly. But we did get a lot of pushback from Nirvana fans, and eventually relented. But it's one of those songs that radio relies on, I think, a little bit too much. But that's people could say the same thing about a lot of other songs that are on the radio.
Well, you're right about one thing. When an iconic artist like that, whether it's a musician, an actor, a painter, whatever, when they die, particularly prematurely, I don't know whether and to what extent dying by their own hand impacts it, but it does create a greater mystique around their art.
Right. There is, we had this discussion years ago when you and I were able to fool around like we would not be able to do today on the radio. We had got to talking about this very topic, and I remember it well because I made fun of, and I think got in a little bit of trouble for, Jim Morrison's passing. And you and I were doing what we always do, which is, Christ, Jim's been in there a long time. Jesus, Murphy. Jim? Are you still in the bath?
Did you get in trouble for that?
I don't remember.
It's funny.
We were.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was typical us, right? There you go.
Well, that reminds me of another one and I think this might even have been like right around the time that it happened. What year did Bing Crosby die?
Oh, yeah.
Bing Crosby died of a heart attack on the golf course.
Dead before he hit the ground.
Yeah, and Terry's thing was, and it seems to me you did this on the air.
Well,
maybe not. Did you? Yeah.
I did.
Terry goes, I think I'm going to use a 3-iron here. Bing, what are you going to use? Bing? Bing? Oh, God, did I laugh.
We were terrible, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot. We had some signature moments that, like we were talking about this when we were talking about our friends the Mersons, your bear imitation of I think of this every single time. It happened to me just the other morning. I was out for a little bit, and I thought, there's that
chill in the air.
There's just that hint of Here Comes Fall.
Yeah.
And you would do it, and I would say, "Oh no, Ted, no, not this morning." I saw a great thing on TikTok. Speaking of bears, I just want to tell you this because I don't know if you've seen it. I saw a great thing on TikTok the other day. It was one of these guys. He's sitting in his car, and he's a big bearded guy, and he said, we live here in Alaska, so we know how to deal with bears. So I just want to give you another safety tip about dealing with bears, especially grizzlies. When you run across a bear cub, a tiny cub, the best thing to do is pick it up and go looking for its mom. I thought that was so funny. Cripes. Hey, you got your Giants sweater on.
I do have my Giants jersey on. All you kids out there, I'll tell you one thing right now. Not all you kids out there, all you 62-year-old men out there, don't wear these out in public.
Yeah.
Unless you're at the game.
Okay.
Or wear them in the podcast studio.
Yes.
Or wear them when you're at home watching the game on TV. Don't wear this out to a restaurant. Unless you're going to or from a game. It's a lovely jersey, but I think when you're over, let's say 25, you shouldn't be wearing the team jersey for a social outing.
I thought you had a piece of Kleenex on the shoulder. It looks like it's been darned up there, has it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, up at the maybe it is Kleenex. There, up here, right here. What is that?
I don't know.
It's a dryer sheet.
It's a what?
Well,
it's a dryer sheet.
It looks like a piece of a dryer sheet.
Well, there you go. So I guess the shirt. So the shirt is clean. Yeah. I've run it through the dryer.
What do you think it is with me, Ted? With family-run businesses, I just love a good family-run business.
I think it's because you're Italian.
Maybe.
I think it's the Italian thing.
Family.
Famiglia.
See. I have a real affinity in this day and age of, you go to a counter and you want to speak to somebody in charge and they have to send an email to Edmonton and you hear back in 10 days. I don't like any of that at all. I love it when families get passionate about something and they end up building a business from their love of that particular business. And that is the case at Matelas Bonheur. When I first went into a Matelas Bonheur store, I could almost tell right away. I went into the original store, which is on Gouin Boulevard in Saint-Geneviève, and I was almost taken aback by how wonderfully I was greeted, with a smile in both languages, and how can we help you? And the store was beautiful, and we got to talking, and somebody asked me a few questions about how I sleep, and do I like a firm mattress, and what kind of pillow do you have, and what do you prefer, and all of that stuff, standing in this beautiful store. And then they said, we're going to show you these 3 mattresses, and you let us know if you have any questions. So nobody sat with me. Nobody tried to pressure me to buy anything. It was just, I was taken with the way they run their business, and that's the way they built their business. There are now 18 locations across the greater Montreal area. And if you're thinking about a mattress, you want to deal with people like that, don't you?
Do you think they'd let me have a nap in the showroom as a means of trying out one of their mattresses?
You know, if they weren't busy, Ted, I would venture to guess they probably would.
Because I could drop by after the show, and you know what it's like after
Yes.
a morning show. You've gotten up in the middle of the night. It's nap time.
Yeah.
I could swing by the closest location on my way home, have a little schloof,
Yep.
wipe up my drool, and be on my way.
By the way, while we're talking about that, they also have set up some really safe shopping, mattress testing. They've got covers and all kinds of protocols and everything else. And you've got to know that, by the way, you could stop at the original store in St. Genevieve.
Oh, there you go.
And right around the corner, you could get a hot dog at La Roulette. How about that? There are, let me see, I want to make sure that I get this right, 18 locations in the greater Montreal area. There's lots of places to buy a mattress, but if you're thinking about buying a mattress, don't do anything before you visit Matelas Bonheur, matelasbonheur.ca.
Can I tell you the history of this shirt?
I wish you would, because I want to talk to you about your beloved Giants.
Okay, Sam Bird bought this shirt. My son Sam bought this shirt for me for my Bumpty-Bump birthday.
Yeah.
It's a, I'm going to turn around this way so you can see.
Yeah. If you're watching on video.
It's a Lawrence Taylor jersey, a New York Giants number 56 jersey. And Lawrence Taylor is my favorite football player. He doesn't play anymore, obviously. He's retired. And Sam knows this because I deluge poor Sam with YouTube videos of Lawrence Taylor highlights. Sam is also a Giants fan.
And also, he's very, very, what's the right word I'm looking for? He's very patient with his dad.
He indulges his father.
Indulges, that's the word
He
I was
indulges
looking for.
his
Yes.
father. So I send him Lawrence Taylor highlights. Greatest football player who ever lived on either side of the ball. Look at these highlights. Yes, Dad, you've sent those ones to me already. But he really was, in my mind, the greatest football player in the history of the game on either side of the ball. And if you're not a football fan, the comparable is Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor was a linebacker who revolutionized football from the defensive side of the ball, just as Bobby Orr, as a defender, revolutionized hockey by turning his position into an offensive
That's an
position.
excellent description, Professor.
Well, when Lawrence Taylor played, opposing teams, normally in football, I'm not a football coach, but I think normally the emphasis is on, okay, we got to figure out how we're going to stop. If you're playing Tampa Bay, how do we stop Tom Brady? If you're playing Green Bay, how do we stop Aaron Rodgers? You're game planning how to stop the other team's offense from scoring. When Taylor came along, he was so dominant as a defensive player that opposing teams had to focus their game plan on how do we stop Lawrence Taylor on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
He was that disruptive as a defender. And my favorite Lawrence Taylor story was the Giants were playing in Detroit one American Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving they have, I think they now have 3 or 4 games on Thanksgiving in the NFL, but the early game is always in Detroit. And the Giants were playing the Lions in Detroit one year, and Lawrence Taylor intercepted a pass right down on the Giants' goal line and ran it back up the sideline like 99 or 100 yards, whatever, for a touchdown. After the game, they're interviewing him on the sidelines, and they have a monitor set up. And he's there with the headphones, and the announcers up in the booth say, Lawrence, if you just look at that monitor, we're going to show you your touchdown. And he looks at the monitor. They show the replay, and he goes, There I am. Look at me go. Man, I'm fast.
Oh, boy.
And he was that. He was something else.
The Giants continue. Well, they've won 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning, so
Yep.
they don't continually break your heart. But the other night I was on the phone with you, and I was in another time zone, and I thought, I better not call Ted. I'll just send him an email. And he said, no, I'm up watching the Giants. Call me. So I called you. And I said, how are they doing? You said, well, they're winning, but disaster looms.
I knew what was going to happen. And, this episode is airing in November, so I don't even know if the Giants have won a game yet this season because they find new creative and inventive ways of losing football games. But in my lifetime, and I've been a Giants fan since I was 10 years old, so that's almost 20 years now. And in my lifetime, anyone? Almost 10 years?
Okay.
No, it's 50 years.
Okay.
In my lifetime, I've seen them win 4 Super Bowls.
There you go.
Which is 4 more than I ever thought when they were god-awful in the 1970s. I thought, I'll never see these guys win a Super Bowl. So I've seen them win 4. So really, anything else at this point is gravy. But I still get more emotionally invested for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the nature of the sport. I get more emotionally invested in my favorite football team, which is the New York Giants, than I do in any other sport. I'm still a big Canadiens fan, and when the Canadiens lose, it's shit, they lost. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Yeah. When the Giants lose, I don't sleep well.
Ted often arrived Monday morning when we were at the height of our powers. In quite a foul mood when the Giants, especially when the Giants lost in the fourth quarter.
In a night game, which meant I got like 3 hours sleep. Yeah. You stay up late just to watch them lose. But
I
am the Frito Bandito.
Do we have to explain that reference now?
Well, it's an old Frito-Lay's chip commercial.
Yep.
And their commercial mascot back in I guess it was the 70s was a cartoon character named the Frito Bandito.
Yeah, would not be allowed today.
It's true.
Hey, when you think about it, you'd get
the Latinx would be very upset.
You would get thrown out of the pitch room if you brought that in. I got an idea for a mascot. No, you don't.
A little Mexican guy, and he goes, I am the Frito Bandito.
When you think about it, in terms of sports teams, there's a whole generation of people. I grew up watching the Canadians win the Stanley Cup so often that the mayor said the Stanley Cup parade will be on its regular route. There's a whole generation of people that grew up in Montreal who don't know what it is to watch the Canadians win a Stanley Cup.
Well, Poseidon's one of them. Yeah. Poseidon, what year were you born, Poseidon?
1993.
That was the last time they won the Cup. Yeah. What month were you born?
July.
So he wasn't born yet.
No.
The last time the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup.
I think it's a bit more than just a coincidence. I'm born.
It's the Poseidon curse.
I'm born, and all of a sudden, no more Stanley Cups.
Are you a hockey fan?
Not really.
No,
I used to be more. I'm more of a soccer fan.
Oh, are you?
I played soccer a lot as a kid too.
Okay,
so that's why I enjoyed. I like basketball. I enjoy playing basketball.
Basketball's big with younger generation, eh? Much bigger than it was with ours.
I agree. So when you say soccer, are you talking about Premier League and European soccer?
No. I don't watch. I'll enjoy watching from time to time. Like if it's on, I'll watch it. But the only time I'll go crazy is when Greece is playing.
Wow. Okay. Because what's interesting to me is, and this is probably part and parcel of marriage, but my wife is a massive, massive Premier League fan.
Who's your favorite team? Club.
Yeah, Manchester United.
Is that right?
And she's got the jerseys and
really.
Oh yeah, and she turns into quite animated football fan, as they call it over in England. Like we're up on Saturday morning and Sunday mornings with the tea and the whole shooting match, and she knows who's playing when, and she's actually turned me into a bit of a fan. I understand the game more now.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
My daughter Lauren, who now lives in France is a Tottenham Hotspur fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't asked her. I should ask her if how she feels about Paris Saint-Germain. Didn't they just sign somebody? Somebody huge?
Yeah.
Did they,
And
not Buddy, was
Messi.
it? Buddy. Messi, yeah. Or Buddy, as I like to call him. Buddy.
I think, and I'm going to get crucified by football fans, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tottenham, can you look this up for me, Poseidon? Tottenham just lost Jack Grealish. Type in Jack Grealish and tell me what it says.
Sikisa.
Well, Jack Grealish played for England and is quite a talented player, and it was quite a loss for a club he was playing or he went to Tottenham. I'm not exactly sure, but Poseidon is going to come to my rescue here.
Where did he go?
He went out.
Okay.
He went to the store.
Did you ever see the video of Other Buddy? Other Buddy from Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, well, he's just gone back to Manchester United.
Have you ever seen the video of him in the I think he's in Madrid.
Yes, trying to have coffee?
No.
Oh, okay.
They disguise him. They dress him up to look like an old man.
Yeah.
And he's in the city square in Madrid goofing around with the soccer ball.
Oh, man.
And more it becomes apparent that this is an incredibly gifted soccer player.
Yeah.
And people start to gather around and look
who
at
is
him.
this guy?
Yeah. And then he starts to play with a kid.
Oh, wow.
And then I cry. Yeah. And they figure out who he is, and he takes off all the makeup and stuff, and the crowd absolutely mobs him.
Yeah.
Eh? Those guys are gods over there. They're gods.
Ronaldo, he cannot walk the streets anywhere on the planet.
Yeah.
Literally cannot go anywhere.
You've never seen that video?
I'm going to watch it now
watch
that you tell me. What have you found out for me?
Jack Grealish is now with Manchester City.
Manchester City, that's right. But he left Tottenham, didn't he? Okay.
Hold on.
I shouldn't be talking about this because it's my wife.
Leave it to the experts like me and Buddy.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, okay. I must have screwed it all up. Okay. But he just went to Manchester United, which was a big deal and a big loss for the club that he was playing because he's a very, very talented soccer player.
At Merson Automotive.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if they still have it up there, but they had a number of posters up in the waiting room of a soccer team. There was a soccer connection going on with Merson. It might have been
one of the guys in the office.
No, I think it was actually. I think it might have been an association with Yokohama.
Okay.
It was a promotional partnership. Mm-hmm. I believe the team might have been the blue one.
Yeah, the blue guys.
Yeah, they won the Premier League a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What are they called again? The blue ones, not Leeds, but I think there's an L in it.
Okay.
No, eh?
No. I know that.
He used to be with Aston Villa.
Yeah, Aston Villa. There you go. So forgive me, football fans. Forgive me. And sweetheart, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have weighed in on something that I didn't have notes for.
I was trying to segue to Merson because, Merson knows more about tires than I know about football.
I should have been, I wasn't on the horse with you there, Ted.
No,
I
eh?
apologize.
No worries. Attention. No worries at all.
Our friends at the Mersons are right in the height of their busy season because people are getting their snow tires on and off. You should be doing this because when you think about it, your vehicle is what you squire your family around in, and you need to keep everybody safe. You need to make sure the car's running properly. Brakes are always good, and decent tires. They'll assess your tires. They'll be honest with you. You can buy tires there. And one of the things that I like about the Mersons that a lot of people don't know is you can store your winter or summer tires there. I did this every single year for years. I loved this service. They would take your winter tires off and store them for you.
Yeah, you don't have to put them in the big garbage bags and haul them around with you. They've got a huge warehouse in the back there for storage.
So they would, and then when you went back in the fall, the tires were already there. You didn't have to schlep tires. They didn't take up room in garage. I absolutely love that. And they can look after just about anything. And if they can't look after it, they'll tell you where to go for it.
They've sent me to a number of different places for different things that were not their areas of expertise. And every place that they have sent me to, the service and the product has been beyond any reasonable expectation. Not only do the Mersons know what they're doing, but the people who the Mersons know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they won't steer you wrong in any way. Won't steer you wrong. Get it? Because it's a car.
Gotcha. It's your car thing.
Car thing.
Here you go. In the same place where they've been for a very long time, family run, where the owner's at the counter, 487-5545, mersonauto.com online. We were talking about earlier about the different generations. My wife and I were talking about this the other day, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's a little bit morbid. But in terms of music, we said goodbye to a lot of very talented people that were a huge part of our lives. David Bowie, Tom Petty. And I don't want to point fingers, but there are a number of really, really big artists whose, let's just say, there's not a lot of sand left in the hourglass. That's going to be huge, don't you think? And do you think, if I don't want to mention anybody because I don't want to put that out in the universe, but think of, somebody that you're a fan of who's 78 or 79 years old, who's still performing.
I wonder sometimes, and I don't mean it to sound morbid, but I wonder sometimes, who the last surviving Beatle will be.
Yes.
I wonder if it'll be Ringo or I wonder if it'll be Paul.
Ringo's 81, and I believe Paul's 79.
Yeah.
And when you think of the legacy of that work and the canon that they have left behind, is that going to be replaced by Drake? Is it just a generational thing?
I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if it's a matter of individual tastes. Like Drake is a worldwide phenomenon. A lot of people are huge Drake fans. It's not my thing.
No.
But I know that my blonde-haired, blue-eyed West Island sons love hip-hop.
Yep.
They love it. It is their preferred genre.
It's the culture right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was blasting Pop Smoke on my way here.
Pop Smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah?
But he's dead.
Yeah, your eyes do look a little red.
He's dead?
Yeah, he's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah, he died at 20.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the whole culture of gangbanging.
Okay.
And,
Did he die from gunfire?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pop Smoke, that's the name of the artist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so let me ask you.
Really? Of the Newport Smokes.
Do you think, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
do you think you will be listening to that in 20 years from now?
No.
Interesting.
Because
Interesting.
here's the thing. I think people evolve a lot.
You are correct. That's very astute.
People evolve a lot, and when I'm 50, I'm going to be an entirely different person from what I am now.
Oh, that's very astute.
Yeah, like how I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I think I was a complete imbecile,
Mm-hmm.
and I still am.
No, you're not.
Look, man, so am I, and I'm like 30 years older than you or more.
But when you change, so does your taste. I
Yes.
remember 10 years ago, I hated vegetables. I couldn't eat a vegetable. Now I'm like, this is good. I'll incorporate more vegetables. So I'm using the food taste as an example of how
I still hate
people's-
vegetables. Yeah. But okay, you're going to evolve, but is music going to evolve, or how is music going to evolve? That's the larger question to me.
And I don't know, based on what Poseidon is telling us, I don't think that these artists, especially Pop Smoke, are going to leave the kind of canon and kind of library behind.
No, absolutely
not. That say the Beatles or the Stones did. But a generation would argue that that's not fair because the Beatles and Stones came up in a much different generation before the internet, when it was just radio and record companies. But I think it's a really, really very astute observation on his part, because that's true. I'm not the same person I was when I was 25. Thank goodness for that, because I'd be dead.
Yeah, and the best example for this is like these artists, like especially in hip hop, they'll make more music. Especially nowadays, they'll make more music of stuff like making money, doing doing shit and like having hoes, quote unquote.
Yeah, well, one of the artists that my boys listen to, he has a song, and you're gonna know who this is, and I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Oh, Gucci Mane.
Oh yeah.
And one of his songs is "Richest N-Word in the Room."
Yeah,
that's a song.
Okay,
I'm the richest N-word in the room.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but so yeah, and I think when you grow older, you can know when you have a family. A very different lifestyle. Yeah. You can't really identify.
Yeah, that's
to it anymore.
One of the things, I'm not I was going to say I'm not a philosopher. That's apparent.
You're not. Well, I'm out of here. I thought I was working with a philosopher.
Yeah, I fart, therefore I am. Yeah. So one of the interesting things to me, whenever I hear it, whenever you see something on television that has a New York take, there's Sinatra, New York, New York. If I can make it there, I can. New York, New York. Everybody knows that song. You know that song, don't you? Yes. Come on, you must know that song.
Is it from Sinatra?
Yeah. The song New York, New York by Sinatra.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
Is that a Christmas song?
Can be. So anyway, all of that to say, Google it after. It's a huge staple, and it's been seen in commercials and on Broadway commercials, and when people are doing films about New York. But there's also the Jay-Z version of the New York song. You're familiar with that?
That I'm familiar with.
That one.
Not me.
You're not familiar with that one?
In New York.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
You've heard it before.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm always fascinated. I when I first heard the Jay-Z version, I thought, well, for sure that's going to overtake.
Isn't there a woman who sings on that?
It's Jay-Z and
Alicia?
Yeah.
Alicia.
Okay, I know which one you mean now.
Keys,
yes.
I think.
Yeah, that's a nice song.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I love that song. And when it first came out, I thought to myself, that's going to bury Frank's version of New York.
Nothing buries Frank.
And it doesn't.
No.
The culture,
they can coexist.
They are coexisting. Yeah, because I see things still today in 2021 that make references to New York in the background. It's Sinatra's version of New York, New York.
We were talking about Frank the other day on my morning show on Light 106.7, 106.7 FM, online at light1067.ca, on the iHeartRadio app, and on your smart speaker. Write that down, would you?
I'm writing it down right now.
You might even have told me this story, Terry, or I read it somewhere. When Frank Sinatra did his first duets album back in the early 90s, where he took some of his greatest hits and he did duets with contemporary stars. He had Bono was on it, Luther Vandross was on it, I think Liza Minnelli was on it. They did one of the songs, and the session drummer who was playing on the session after they did the first take thought to himself, okay, then I guess we'll probably change that, and maybe we'll fix this, and we'll do that, and we'll adjust this. He's thinking about the second tape, and Frank goes, next tune! He had no interest in a second take. That was it.
Yeah, if you read, and I've read a lot about Sinatra because I'm a huge, massive fan, not only of Sinatra, the artist and the singer, but the man and the impact that he had on the culture. And he was very, very famous or infamous for not having any patience at all. When he made movies, he didn't want to do a second and third take. He was always like, what's next? What's next? And there's a very, very, very funny, I don't know if it's available on YouTube, but if you can find it, Phil Hartman used to do an amazing Sinatra on SNL.
Yeah.
And on SNL, they did a parody of Sinatra singing with other artists, and it's so I'll ruin it for you if I try and describe it for you, but if you want to laugh, Phil Hartman, who was one of the great comic geniuses who was on SNL for many years, just Google Phil Hartman Sinatra, or just go to YouTube and type in Phil Hartman Sinatra, and you will laugh. This is so funny.
It's actually one of the first searches.
Is it?
Yeah. And I found it.
Yeah, there you go.
Joe Piscopo did a pretty decent Sinatra.
So, yeah, he also did.
And I remember a specific thing where him and Eddie Murphy were doing a duet as Stevie Wonder and Frank Sinatra, and it started out with Eddie Murphy started his, I am black and you are white. You are blind as a bat and I have sight. Side by side, my amigo. Let's not fight.
Can we play? Will we get in trouble? Can we play? No?
Hold
We
on.
can't. Well, let's just tell.
No, it's
Yeah.
a Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Okay. Just tell people. That's you believe me. If you want entertainment, that's where you want to go. I just like I said, we started this conversation talking about some of the people who are, not, but they're on their way.
Yes.
Yeah. And they've had just unbelievably incredible runs, and I want to change the topic.
And
now
impact.
because
Why don't we talk about Jaguar Land Rover Laval?
I like that.
The title sponsors of this podcast, who have, for this weekend, loaned me a Jaguar F-Type P380 Sports Coupe.
And I know what the P is for.
What?
Well, because you pee your pants when you step on the accelerator. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's got some giddy up. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful car,
boy.
and they've given me that for the weekend to ferry Terry to and fro from the podcast studio. And on the way up here this morning, we made a very interesting discovery. They have Katharine Hepburn as the voice on the GPS. Don't they, Terry?
They do. They do.
We got detoured on the way here, so I turned on the GPS. Do it, Terry. Imitate the GPS from this car.
It sounded like he had plugged in Katharine Hepburn on the GPS because it was like, in 300 meters, you're going to want to turn on Southey Street. Because, as usual, everything was detoured, and I said, that would be a fun gag if Katharine Hepburn would say, your exit is coming up, pay some attention, for God's sake.
It's so true. I guess it was the regular voice, but for whatever reason, because of the signal or whatever, it was just a bit warbly for a second.
Probably
Terry goes, Christ, it's Katharine Hepburn. Turn left on Sauve.
It's probably because of all the bloody potholes in the roads. That's why.
Oh, God, that was funny.
Yeah, this car, by the way, this car is really, I don't even know how to describe it. It's an elegant bad boy.
Yeah, it's luxury and performance and sexy as hell, all
it really
wrapped into
is.
one. And I was surprised at the price point. I figured, cripes, this thing's got to be at least $125,000. I looked it up. They started about $73,000.
Yeah, and the thing that I've said before about Jaguar Land Rover Laval is don't be afraid to go there. Like, even if you're not quite yet in the market or you think, oh, geez, I can't afford that. I used to do this all the time, and that's how you can tell who great dealers are. The people at the dealership are incredibly welcoming. They're not going to judge you. You're not going to have to run a credit check to look at all the beautiful automobies.
They will be happy to show you
they'd
the
love
products.
To see you.
Yeah,
and
they're proud to show off the products.
And it's a beautiful showroom and really nice people there. It's a great way. And Ted does this or did this with Charlie, his son Charlie, who's a car fanatic. It's like your own mini car show. You go to a showroom like that, it's like your own mini car show.
And they're also part of their dealership is McLaren Montreal. The McLaren supercars are right next door, and they'd be happy to show you those as well. They're good people, the DQ Bellis family, and they run that joint like a family outfit. It's everybody on staff is treated like family, and the customers are treated like family, and it's all British products in there. So you can probably get a cup of tea, but I think the DQ Bellises are going to probably offer you an espresso first. If you insist, they'll get you a tea, but chances are it'll be an espresso.
It'll be like in Italy where they go, allora, we have a small problem. If you've ever been to Italy, you know what I'm talking about.
Jaguar Land Rover Laval, and that's another thing. You get up to Laval, and the construction isn't nearly as crazy as it is in the city, so you can actually get out and take a test drive on the open road. You're not going to be all bottled up in construction.
I'm not sure if we did this. Excuse me. I'm not sure if we did this in another episode or not. But my wife just loves this story. Did we tell the story of you answering the phone as a reporter in Toronto? I think you were a reporter. And my wife just loves this story.
That was in Charlottetown.
Oh, was that Charlottetown?
Yeah.
I don't think we told this story.
No, we haven't.
And as a favorite of my wife Jessica has been helpful with our social media.
Helpful to say the least. Not just with our social media, just behind the scenes in general.
Yeah.
This podcast wouldn't be happening without Jessica's help.
Yeah, she's a bright and very creative woman, and she just thinks you're one of the funniest guys on the planet. And when I told her this story, she said, "Why haven't you never told me this story before?" It's one of Ted's early career stories. Please go ahead and tell it.
When I worked in Charlottetown at my first job, I was a news reporter at CFCY Charlottetown and PEI. And one day I phoned up Jim Lee, who later became the premier of PEI, but at the time he was a member of the Legislative Assembly. And I don't know why I was phoning him. It was obviously to interview him about one topic or another. And he answered the phone, and you know how sometimes you go to say one thing and then you change to something else in mid-phrase or mid-word, and it comes out kind of mangled. I said, "Jim, it's Ted Bird calling," and he said, "Yes, turd." And that happened over 40 years ago. I told Terry the story probably over 30 years ago, and to this day, Terry still phones me up and goes, "Yes, turd."
Well, we have a number of them, and I don't know the origin of them. This morning I texted you, "Good morning, Mung Mung." And I don't remember where that one came from.
That's about 30 years ago. Someone on the CBC was doing the morning news, and we used to, in the show newsroom, we used to tape. When I went into the top of the hour to do my news, I would start a tape recorder and tape the other station's news so I could go back and listen.
This is back when there was news.
Yeah, and see if I missed anything. And so I went back in and listened to this one morning, and the CBC news guy, for whatever reason, his sign-on was, "Good morning, Mung Mung."
And other broadcasters can be merciless.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to broadcasters making those kinds of mistakes. There was, and she's been great with it. Omega Medina, during the earthquake, was one of our favorites. Omega Medina was the weather person at CBC Television, and she was very, very talented. She went to she ended up in the United States, doing television in the United States. And there was a time, and I don't remember, I think it was the late 1980s, there was an earthquake in Montreal, and she happened to be live on the air, and I guess the lights began to sway in the studio, and I think she said, she paused, and she looked to the left and looked to the right, and she said, I'm not sure, but yes, I think we're having an earthquake. And you and I think we were both watching the news at the same time, and made merciless fun. And we've, believe me, had plenty of them ourselves.
Listen, I was driving with Charlie up to Laval yesterday to pick up that car, and we drove by. I forget what street it was on, but there's a Jean Sauvé something or other center.
Right. Yeah.
And we drove by, and I told Charlie the story about when I was first starting out in radio, and Jean Sauvé was the federal communications minister. Mm-hmm. And stupid me, being an inexperienced rookie, I didn't ask anyone how to pronounce her name. I just went with my best guess.
Right.
On the radio.
Right.
Federal Communications Minister Jenny Suave is in Charlottetown. Jenny Suave.
It's funny. It's to Poseidon's point earlier. You're a different person as you get older. Like I always said to young broadcasters as I got older, I always said, "Why didn't you ask?"
Yeah.
And when you're in your 20s, you don't want to ask. You're afraid to make yourself look dumb, and you end up making yourself look even dumber.
Yeah.
When you say Jenny Suave.
Yeah.
Tell the obit story that you heard in Manitoba. That's a great story.
Yeah, I was, I'm pretty sure we might have told this on an earlier podcast, but
I don't think so.
No, in case you missed it. I used to love when radio was a big deal. You could drive all across the country from city to city and from town to town, and all of these little towns would have these little radio stations, and they were places where young people went to learn what was then a craft. And you you could sort of get a vibe of what the town was like by listening to these, small AM, almost always on AM radio stations. And they had, Swap Shop and Community Billboard and all the stuff that a community newspaper would do on the radio. And most of them did an obituary service. Usually around the lunch hour, they would say, in today's obituaries, and it would be, Louise Godbout at the age of 81 is lying in state, or lying at rest in survived by And I dialed in because it was known inside the business that obituaries were a very dangerous place for a young broadcaster because people tried to make you laugh, or, there was all kinds of things, you trip over your tongue.
It was a minefield.
It was a minefield, exactly. And this poor guy, young guy, who sounded like he literally was just out of high school, was reading this heartfelt tribute to this man who had passed away at the age of 81, and he was survived by so-and-so and such, and his grandchildren will miss him. And it was Charles was a veteran of WW11. And I just about drove off the road. I thought to myself, oh, my God, this kid doesn't know that those are Roman numerals.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And as Ted says, I guess we missed 3 through
3 through 10 blew right past me, those world wars. You know what? I think you're right. I think that we might have told that story on an earlier podcast.
It doesn't matter.
This is episode 10, and my kids tell me I have 10 stories. So we're right on schedule. We're just going to start. Now we just tell the same 10 stories again on a loop for episodes 11 through 20.
Actually, I don't think you guys said it on another episode.
No? Okay.
You would have remembered?
I would have remembered.
Yeah.
Okay.
WW11.
Jesus, Murphy. Listen, we said 10 episodes of the first season, and this is episode number 10. And again, I wish I could convey, I'm a communicator. I've been doing this all my life. I should be able to do this. But I was telling Ted today in the car that when I was retired from the radio station this past May, it's what
I think of your parents' expression, here's your hat, what's your
yes, exactly. That's my mom's favorite expression.
I love that.
Yeah. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? They always said that about a guest who wouldn't go home. They would like, Jesus Christ, here's your hat. What's your hurry?
Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah, that's I had what I consider to be a dignified exit, thanks to some very, very kind people.
Well, you also took the high road.
Thank you. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but when you exit a career of 40 years, no matter how, you get a little sort of, I've had an up and down summer. I'll be very honest with you. Some days have been amazing, and I think, hey, I don't have to get up, I don't have to do anything. And other days I think, Jesus, what am I going to do? So it can be a bit of a roller coaster ride. And then Ted and I started to talk about the podcast, and I don't know about you, but I was lying in bed last night thinking, and then we could talk about this.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see Ted, and this is going to be fun. We're going to have some laughs. I haven't felt like this in a very, very long time. And it's been like such fun and by and large, pretty well received. Thank you so much if you're listening and you've downloaded. This has been a lot of fun. So Ted and I decided, I think we're going to do a season 2.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. If Poseidon will come back and produce it for us, are you in?
I'm in.
All right. Well, we can't do it without him.
That's right. And to give you an idea, we've already drawn up a guest list. We got some ideas for some guests who are going to come and join us. So we've told a lot of old guy stories and expressed some opinions. And we've decided we want to invite you in to meet some of our friends. Some of whom you probably know well and would make great conversation partners. So that's the pencil sketch for season 2. And it'll probably arrive after Christmas.
Are we going to do a Christmas show?
We are.
Okay.
Let's do a Christmas show.
All right.
Okay,
are we going to sing backwards Christmas carols?
Yes. English.
Elgnid sleb, yeah. Ah! Besides over there going, what the fuck?
What's wrong with
That's
these
the first
guys?
time I hear that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, will you get a load of them?
Oh, yeah. That was a long-standing Christmas tradition.
Yeah, it was. So, yeah, I think we're going to do that. And then we'll see if anybody wants to come along for a ride.
Yeah, and if you want to come along for a ride, we're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Until you go away.
Yeah.
Here's your hat. What's your hurry?
And as we go out the door, I know we said this repeatedly, and I know it's kind of, it's boring, but we just don't know. Do we get them flowers? Do we buy them chocolates?
Who?
Pantelis and Mike Ward.
I don't
mean,
think
Jesus
that,
Lord,
I
look
know.
at this.
I don't think they want flowers or chocolates.
No.
I think that there is something about having us in their stable that they seem to think is good for them.
Can't thank them enough.
Yeah.
Because the combination of the beautiful production and direction by Poseidon. Thank you, Poseidon.
He is beautiful.
My pleasure.
I mean, it's an inner beauty.
It is.
But he's a beautiful man.
Between that and the kindness and openness, they threw the doors open and said, "Do what you want, fellas," and had some kind words for us on 2 Drink Minimum. Mike Pantelis, thank you so very much, and I'm going to say thank you to my wife, who's responsible for that logo of ours and our social media posts and.
I noticed she put me in the front, eh?
Yeah, she did. Well, she said it's about time Ted got top billing.
There you go.
So thank you, sweetheart. That's my lovely and very talented wife, Jessica Dion. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, let's. We're going to go get in that beautiful blue sports car. By the way, the prettiest girl in that car so far this weekend has been Terry. So I'm open to offers.
Come on, sweetheart, let's go.
Okay, honey.
Hey, we didn't cry on this one either.
No.
Okay.
Standing by, the Terry and Ted podcast is sponsored by Jaguar Land Rover Laval, where the luxury is unmistakably British, but nobody wears a top hat or a monocle.